Howard, usually in times of war and anxiety and uneasiness, rather, the American people want to come together. They want to support the president. Yet when you look at this latest poll that Tori was reading earlier, 57% of Americans disapprove of how the president is handling ISIS. You know, what is he not getting right here? Because it seems like this has been a sort of a steady number for a while now. The people not come around and support him on foreign policy.
Well, I think it's partly because the president, like the American people, is more ambivalent than he might appear at first glance. Yes, he asked for that authorization to use military force, but the document itself is as ambivalent as the American people are. It defines the brutality and the depredations of ISIS. And you would think that given that their actions, in his own words, in his proposed resolution, amount to what George W. Bush used to call evil, that it would be a limitless war to the end. But instead, expressing the caution that many Americans feel, he says, yeah, but we're not going to have sustained ground contact. We're not going to have a sustained military operation. Enduring is the word he uses. And the limit is 3 years. So in itself, it's an expression of the ambivalence of the American people. What should he do differently then, Howard?
What should he do differently?
Well, I think he's got to, he's got to choose more than he has. One way or the other, he's got to either say, look, this is a battle of drones and airstrikes and propaganda, and we're going to wage it to the utmost in a way the world has never seen. Or he's got to say, we're in this and we're going to destroy them on the ground minute by minute. And you can't have it both ways in this kind of situation at a time when ISIS every day is putting out a piece of video or a picture designed only for black and white thinking.
Yeah, and Howard, I mean, you mentioned that ambivalence. It's a point you've been making, and I think very well, at a time when there's sincere confusion about what exactly we're trying to get into. I want to just play briefly what you said on Friday on Hardball.
This proposed authorization for the use of military force lays out the horror that Richard Engel was describing in graphic detail. But then what it says is, okay, we're going to go there only for 3 years. We're not going to have enduring offensive ground combat operations. We don't think that large-scale American and military involvement is the right way to do it. So the president is expressing, I think, a lot of the ambivalence that the American people have.
And so the next logical question is, isn't that a problem? Understandable the public feels ambivalence and feels torn. But shouldn't the commander-in-chief, when stepping up to this evil, either tell us we need to go to war, which in the old days would meant going to a joint session of Congress, making the case in prime time to the American public, hitting this with its full force, or if that's not the solution, it's something else, then not ask for new war powers if we're not really going to go to war?
Yeah, I agree with you, Ari. And I think that's the problem. I think often it's good for the president, for the leader of a nation like ours, to reflect the thinking of the American people. But there are also times when the American people are confused. I would say they're ambivalent. They're not confused. They're of two minds about this. That's not the same as being confused. It's up to the president to lead. And you know, we've said before, and the president's own aides have sometimes said, that Barack Obama is very shrewd and leads from behind. That was said, ironically, about Libya, which is now a failed state. But you can't lead from behind in this situation at a time when ISIS is daring us to think more aggressively.
And how